Mr. LaRon, I like that hat. You got to turn your mic on.
Yes, how are you?
You look like you just come from the island.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I love
Nice to see you.
the same here. You been doing okay?
I've been doing well, and you?
Yes, just hanging in here. I
I
tell you,
know. You stay
can't wait.
safe.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Mhm, mm. Good morning, everybody. Everybody say good morning. Good morning.
Everyone. Hi, Whitaker.
Miss Whitaker, how are you?
Morning, Robinson and Hill, Coach Hill.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bon appetit.
I know it's so early. I get spoiled in the summertime. Waking up late.
uh, Mr. Robinson, how are you?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well too, sir. Thanks.
Good. Good to see everybody.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah, same here. Give me something to
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Whitaker. You still want me to call you that? Okay.
yeah, because we saw Clark on there yesterday.
Mm-hmm. We ain't being nosy. We just talking.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, I would just have a request for you to go ahead and complete the attendance. And I posted that in the chat. I've also added the code for the Instructional Technology Forum Google Classroom below. And I've emailed a survey. It's in the process of emailing because it was a scheduled email. So when you see that, if you had not already completed that survey, it just allows for us to see who all needs help with what on Google.
Ms. Hartley,
Yes,
can you repost the attendance link?
I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think I need a new computer. I think the school needs to give me a new computer. That was just a slight hint for whoever may hear this. It's kind of my right click is not doing, but I'm on both computers, so I'll be fine for the time. Let me just mention this startup session this morning is pretty much for those of you that need. Okay, I guess I was being sarcastic, but my right click on my computer is not working, my CCPS, so let me come out of this and work it from my other computer. So I have to put in a ticket for right click. Okay. All right, so as I was about to say, this is just a startup training, Q&A. Any questions you may have at the end, for those of you that had not already started, those are having a hard time, those just have questions. We have the scheduled Google Sites training on Monday, and those features that I will introduce then will be a little more advanced, nothing really extremely fancy. I've already seen a lot of websites and y'all are knocking it out the ballpark. So there's just a handful that feel a little apprehensive about Google Sites. So that's the purpose of this. So if you're here just because, then I appreciate you. Otherwise, I can see you on Monday, where I will include some more advanced features. If you and still not anything from what I've seen, because I've seen whiz text in the last day or so, to the point where I just don't want teachers or those of you that expect to have a site to feel overwhelmed because you see so much. That's not for everyone, and I don't think that's the intention for it to for everyone to have something that seems like you're going on a adventure once you get on a Google site, which I enjoy. So no sarcasm there whatsoever. So I enjoy that. Okay, if you had a chance to take the survey, it's just intended for everyone that part of my team, and I feel like I do have a team here now. So many teachers have reached out to me wanting to help those of you that are having a difficult time, so that way we can see who's needing assistance with what. I've have intentional Q&A session scheduled for Monday afternoon. It's not mandatory. This is just for if you have questions where we can all meet together and share different ideas and different touch on different topics in regards to either Google Classroom or Google Sites. Let me be specific with that because we could talk about Google an entire week if we chose to do so, but we don't have time for that. So I will send out a notification for a Q&A session on Google Sites and Google Classroom, just to how to make it work better for you and therefore for the student and those that have to come in and or have a chance to come in and collaborate with you. I've also had, and this list is still ongoing, volunteers, and please notate this if you're familiar or even if you're not familiar with any of these team members, they're willing to, if you go ahead and share your Google site with them, or even if you want to schedule a 15 to 20 minute one-on-one session with them, they're willing to assist you with any questions you may have for your Google site. This is for Google Sites only, so I'm not volunteering them for anything else, but they've mentioned to me that they would not mind assisting anyone that has questions or just needs, maybe you've clicked on some things 5 times and it's not going back to where you need it to go, those scenarios. So, keep in mind that they're volunteering their time and they're just wanting to be part of the team so we can be virtually great. So that's Miss Morgan, Mr. Minyard, and Miss Peoples, and there's a couple of other people. I just have to confirm to make sure that they're available, and I'll post this list in the Google Classroom as well, so you can reach out to them. Of course, I am, but I know sometimes, and I try to follow up with everyone as quickly as possible. But sometimes, right then and there is when you need assistance. Today's session, I will keep it fairly simple or foundational, just making sure that you know where your access points are, ways to organize, different options to integrate your resources that you already have that are you can embed in your site. Make sure that you know how to preview and publish your Google site, because we do, we can, let me be specific. A Google site is a live, and you should know this, but it's live, and if you don't update and republish, then it will stay the way it was the first time around. So if you're wondering, hey, why is my document not updated, it's because you didn't republish the site. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And there's a new option they have where they have a side-by-side panel where you can see the before and after. And then there are a couple of questions about, hey, why do I have a Google Classroom and a Google site? What should be the difference between the two? And it's more so my opinion. I've seen multiple different ways that teachers across the world and across the country have utilized Google Classroom and Google Sites. So that's entirely up to you, unless we have different directive by our administrators. So I'm coming out of my presentation because I'm not here to present to you. My thought was, instead of me running you through a ton of different Google Sites, I'll just create one, a mock one with you, and then you just follow along. This session is recorded, so I'll post it, and hopefully I'll have access to the Google Classroom recording, as well as the Google Drive from the session last week, so I'll share those as well. We're just having some technical difficulties on that. All right, so the first thing, if I'm a brand new teacher, I'm unaware of what's going on with Google, there are a couple of different ways for you to be able to get to the Google site, and the simplest, in my opinion, is either going to your Gmail, and excuse everything that you see within my Gmail. But of course, if you didn't know, Clayton County Public School has a Gmail, which is a Google account, so we're considered to have Gmails. So I will always refer, and let me expand this and get a little bigger. I will always refer to this tool right here as the waffle, just because that's what I was taught and that's what I'll call it. Kind of looks like a waffle. So that's the first way to access all Google apps, and you can find Google Sites. If you don't see it right immediately on the top, then it most likely means you don't use it really often. You'll have to go down to the more, and you'll see those. Usually there, after a while, Google knows what you use more often and will put it in that order, but it's somewhere within this particular access point. So you'll find Google Sites right here. There we go. And the other ways, of course, that same waffle, you can find it in your drive. Here it is again. Let me expand that. It's always in the top right corner. Okay, this is not one word for me. And then you'll click on that and find your Google site. So that's one way. And the other way is really simple by just typing in sites.google.com. That's the simplest way. If you just don't have the patience to go look for it, that's a simple way of finding it. And then you'll see the startup. And it's in the changing process, just because Google had a classic version of Google Sites, and there's still a lot of people using the classic version. But now we're focused on using the new Google Sites, which is right here. We're choosing new Google Sites. If you're I would not recommend going to the classic, because it's definitely a little old school. But I don't think the students and parents would appreciate that. So click on new Google Sites, and this window will pop up. Now, in my case, you will see so many, because not last semester, but in the fall of 2019, I've asked many of my students to create their own Google site, and you can, just determine if that's something that you're interested in, just to allow the students create portfolios and to find a way to really express themselves. Of course, that's on a more so public platform. You just have to make sure that you set perimeters. That's why I have so many of them. I have quite a few, and the list goes on. And some students started, never finished. And that's what yours should look like. If you've never created one before, the bottom portion will be blank. It's allowing for you to choose templates. My recommendation is not to do that, just because they're more specific to, and then you're going to have, you're going to have to reconfigure some things. So I would go ahead and start with a blank one. Before I go into creating a brand new Google site, I want to point out, and I'll add this in the Google Classroom as well, through Clayton County, me being the technology liaison, I'm responsible for maintaining 2 Google sites, and one of them in specific is for technology. So I'm supposed to keep up with one for technology, which will host the teacher spotlight for those teachers that are introducing us to new resources, or they're really helping others a whole lot. So that this teacher spotlight is something that we can either vote on, or I can determine who the teacher for the month is that will be in the teacher spotlight. But I wanted to point out that I have the resource portion, which will always give you a link to reach me or to reach our DLS, my apologies, for Boxlight, and that is Miss Smith. And below, I have some very simple videos that will help you with Google Docs, Google Slides, presentations in regards to forms and Google Sheets. And I've started, as Dr. Horton requested, a link for quick sheets, just a basic information on how to get ahead in Google Classroom, as well as I've started one for Google Sites, and that's an ongoing process. So I just wanted to point that out before I move on. So I'm going back to the Google Sites startup, and I am going to choose blank. And as that starts up, you have to consider, and I put that in the checklist that Ms. Peoples was kind enough to share, and I've adjusted the checklist some. Make sure that you have an idea exactly before you get here. Well, these are suggestions, that you know what you want your Google site to look like, because you'll need a blueprint. If it gets to the point where no one knows where they're going because you don't know where where you're going, it becomes difficult for everyone. So you have an option to I would suggest for you to title your site, because if you don't, it'll stay untitled forever. So you need to go ahead and title your site. The very first page that you come up for will be your home. If you're an online shopper like me, then you know there's always a home page. So this will be your home page, and there are multiple different do you want this to be where you have your video? I think Dr. Horton suggested for you to embed the video on your page. So I'll just let this be a sample site. I'm just going to title it sample for the sake of it, because I'll eventually delete it. There are various options to go about this. My suggestion is for you to create in your mind how many different, as you would call, tabs you want to have. On Google Sites, they're called pages. So if you look at the right side where you see insert, pages, and themes, you should click on pages. And at this point in time, I will create my, as I say, my blueprint. So, and let me zoom back out of it. On the very bottom, there's a plus sign, which will allow for you to add the new pages as you are creating your site. So my first sample page would be maybe resources. And I will, please don't follow the titles and what I'm giving you, because I don't know what your content area is. I don't know what your purpose is within making this site. So these are just examples I'm using. So it will be the home, which is my sample. Resources is one I have, and then I'll go ahead and create another one. I'll say kind of, okay, classwork. And I'm very, very broad with this. I don't want you, please don't make pages titled like this. I don't want to be responsible for that. Okay, so within that, you have options to change your settings. So now, how do you want your navigation to be? On the top of the page, or like some sites will have it on the side? So you can switch that back and forth. So instead of you having all your various pages going across the top right, you can have the resources, how people access are going down the side, up and down. Now your question is, now how can I make it? What if I want a little more? If I need a little more out of my pages, you can go to your page option again, click on the page, and create a sub page. So that's a page within a page. So resources, I might want my resources to be broken down into quick links or web links. And if you change your mind, you're free to change the name of the title. I want to as a matter of fact, I want to delete this. I want to delete it. So you always have a delete option. There's no right or wrong, because you're just basically just giving yourself more work. Like if you're like me, since I don't have a blueprint for this right now, I'm going back and forth. So I want this to be student assignment. So I changed my mind. So within my student assignments, I want to yeah, that wrong. I'm creating another page. Okay, today. All right, if you get to a point like what you're doing, like what I'm doing, it's time to rethink your strategy and go back to the very beginning and start over. Because at this point, I'm creating pages on top of pages. I want to make sure that you don't do what I'm doing. But it's a teachable moment. All right, so student assignments. So within that, I want to break it down and add classwork, homework, projects. So these are the subpages. I just knew I was going to get that together. Okay, so I have subpages within those pages. And you're like, okay, enough of that. And I just want you to see that they break down into categories so you're not stuck on people searching throughout your entire site trying to find one thing in particular. You have to be the captain of your own ship and determine, you know, how intricate do I want this and how much information can I put in one page without people getting confused. All right, so you're like, okay, well, now I have my pages. How do I go about inserting information? Or we're going to work on inserting and then we'll do a little customization. So these various options that you have right here will continuously go on a drop down. So you can add pictures with wording, more than one picture, multiple pictures. That's entirely up to you. And I'll just choose the very first one, the simplest one. And there are various options on you having your title either a little smaller, subheader. So it's really on you aesthetically how you want it to look. How do I embed something? At this point in time, you can just click the plus sign. So this format is fairly simple. Once you have a way to get in there, you can determine how many resources you want to embed. I'm going to just select an image. I'm afraid what's going to pop up. You never know what kind of images I'll have popping up. So I'll just take something very simple. I want to be able, everyone to be able to find my Google Classroom code, and I'll place it right here and I'll title it Classroom Code. So just wanted to show you how to do that. You can change the background color various different ways. You can either take what they've given you. You can also go as far as uploading your own background image, or they'll give you gallery of different things that you can use and you can choose from there. So I'll just pick one and you continuously add on the different various resources you want to provide. Now, since I'm just randomly adding things, just keep in mind you still have to keep the order that works best for you. You can also pull things from YouTube, which, you know, if this is a resource page for the parent, then that's a little more feasible until we hear back. And as far as I know, when I've asked that YouTube is still not accessible by the student, the YouTube embedding that you do, keep in mind this would have to be more so with a focus on the parent or stakeholders in the community, not particularly for the student. So you can add the YouTube videos. You can either search for a video, you know, if you don't know what video you want to embed. And I just chose the Black Death because that, you know, something that I teach. And you can embed it like that by clicking on it and then pressing select, and it will pop up. Or you can go and actually embed the URL. So you can click on YouTube again. If you know some of the things that you've already utilized before, or these are all videos I've made, then I'll just pick one and just add that. You can move things around if you know, if you're that type of person, you can move things around. Let me embed someone. Okay. And still, if anyone else needs that, Miss Peoples. Okay.
The survey link, Ms. Hartley, is coming up as editing.
Okay, so I basically editing for everyone to edit.
Yeah, so it needs to come out again. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send that out again for everyone. And Ms. Peoples, I was actually about to ask you to. Oh wow, I was going to ask you, could you share the attendance for me again? Because my right-click button doesn't work on my Clayton County laptop. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've showed you how to embed pictures, how to embed videos. You can embed, and let me stop saying embed, because oftentimes so people are looking for coding type of embedment. I'm talking about uploading. And one of the things that I wanted to point out to you, and I'll use my let's see, my technology site as an example. I'll give you the example as in I've included a document, a Google Doc right here. So since I know this is a live site and it's a live document, keep in mind that if I go back into and change this particular document that's titled Google Sites Checklist, it will change on here once I republish my site. So let's see. Google Sites checklist, and I'll fix the survey once we leave. I don't want to take up your time, especially since there are other activities going on that I've ingenuity, I think. So what I've done, just as an example, I know this has to not change anything on my actual document. I just want to give you an example. I'm going to change the background color, and I want you to see how it actually changes within the Google site. So I've changed this to from blue to green. And of course, it's not going to change until I update it, which I haven't. And make sure, because I'm working on two different things at the same time. It should update the color of the document. If it didn't, I have to go in and republish. Okay, that's loading kind of slowly. Okay, and it's changed it to green. Now it's changed it to green for me. It will not change it to green for everyone else until I hit publish again. So just keep and I mentioned this before, if you're embedding something that's live, if you're uploading something that's live, remember that it's going to, if you need it to change for everyone else, you need to make sure that you go back and check on your publishing in your in your Google site. So that's just me reminding everyone that it's a live document, and it's the same thing for if you're uploading a slide deck or if you're uploading your slides or sheets or forms, that everything will change for those that are going to visit your Google site. All right, so let's see. I want to make sure that I will touch on the themes, which just more so aesthetically, you can change your theme around to being something that fits your personality or what you're trying to represent by creating this site. It will change the color. Let's see if that's even a major. The font style. Let's see. I want to go back to something more that's more visual. So you can't really just see it a lot because I don't have a lot on here, but it's for you to, some of them, they'll actually let you customize the color where you can add the code for the color if you're into that. I'm not going to get too deep into customizing like that. And let's see, we have insert, we have pages. I wanted to make sure I touch on the preview. As you preview, keep in mind students or parents will look at this from a desktop or laptop perspective. You know, you want things to be not too crammed or overwhelming. Then you're able to look at it from the mobile perspective, and it gives you an idea, hey, what does my Google site look like from a mobile perspective and a tablet, of course. So this, I think that's a really good feature because it shows you without you having to publish and go in and out, hey, this is what my site is going to look like. And let me go back to, all right. And there's some things that I can show you how to change the Vicon. I'll wait for Monday to do that. There's some, oh, this is what I would like for you to focus on. If you want anyone to be able to assist you with this, make sure you allow that person to have, let's see if I want Ms. Peoples. I'll give her editors capabilities. If you just want someone to look at it from the published perspective, it really wouldn't help you any. So I'll keep it. If you trust someone, of course you can boot them back out, but we're all trustworthy. We have a code of ethics. I would add that person so they can, as you're discussing changes, they have a capability of assisting you and fixing things for you. Now, I wouldn't say everyone add me to theirs because it may take me a long time to get to yours, but that's definitely a great way for you to collab. Even if you have a collab class, you can, and you would like a specific site, or if you're adding, if you're asking your students to create maybe a group assignment, that's how they can go ahead and work on their Google sites together. All right. On the publishing side, I don't have a lot to publish. It's allowing for you to see the version history. So if you remember, hey, an hour ago, I think I had the version that I really want to get back to. I've done too much. You can change the version history. Of course, I don't have a version history because I haven't done a whole lot, but you can take a look and see what you've done in the past. You can duplicate the site. You got to be careful because if you don't title it, like I didn't title this site, you have a ton of untitled sites, and then you won't know, which one is my original. Of course, you can find out, but it's going to put you at risk of having more work. Just like any other Google application, you have a undo and redo. And let's get to the publishing. Okay, since I didn't title it, I'll just sample it. Publish. And at this point in time, it's ready to go. Once you publish it the first time, it gives you an option to view the changes on how it was before and after. Of course, I don't have any changes, so it wouldn't show. It also gives you a chance to unpublish it and look at some of the publishing settings. But if you're not comfortable with tech like that yet, or you're still working towards getting comfortable, please don't fiddle with that because then we'll end up having to come back and help you. The other thing I would mention, if you want your students or parents in an email or on your Google Classroom to have access to your Google site, go ahead and utilize the link sharing option. And it'll give you a copy of link. You can put it in a Remind if you have Remind or any other type of resource that you're using. And that way you can get your Google site out there. And just keep in mind the Google site in comparison, and that's my closing point here before I take any questions or look at questions that are possibly in the chat that I haven't looked at, that the Google site versus the Google Classroom. Google site is accessible for anyone that has the link. So if there's something on there that you don't want the public to know, maybe pictures of students doing work, which in this case, we don't have that since we're not, or even as I did in the presentation, I actually did a screenshot. We had the screenshot oftentimes during the summer just to show that we were working with the students. And what if Mr. Sewell from Drew does not want his picture all over the internet? So that's like more so concerning is in what do you want to put on your Google Classroom versus what you want to put on your site. So the only difference that I really truly see is it should be confidential things should be on Google Classroom. Resources that only the students need should be on Google Classroom. I do not see a purpose in you putting everything on both. Because if you put everything on both, you are going to do a lot of, some people, the faster you get, the faster you'll be able to do it. But I don't think everyone in the universe needs to see what your your Friday homework assignment looks like, unless you already have a chart on your Google site, but just the actual assignment itself, maybe a notation that there's assignment due every Friday in the title of it, but the actual assignment I would not put on your Google site. But that's just my input. Let me give you the names again of those teachers that were willing to assist with anything that you may have. As I mentioned, this is just a basic startup. I didn't want to just continuously go on and on and on about something that's, I have to get you in there first. And once you're in there and you feel more comfortable on Monday, then we can take it to the next level, how to add buttons, how to, get just a little more fancier with it. I've just added, literally just added, let me see if I can show you. Let me come out of it. And I'm pretty excited about it because I want to try new things. Added a motion GIF on my startup. When I'm still in the process, my Google site is still under construction, but I was excited that I'm able to add a mini video, or some kids would call it GIF. And this is just a good startup, and I think they'll look really good on mobile. And then if you do add something like that on there, keep in mind that it'll have limitations to the time. And of course, if you have something that's really flashy, you don't want to give someone a seizure. And like if you're going on certain social media platforms, they'll give you a warning. So I wouldn't go there. I don't think this right here will give anyone a seizure. But this is really all I have for today. And I want to open the floor, and I'll take a look at my chat. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas.
I have a question.
Okay.
Since the Google Sites is something that the school is requiring from each teacher to have, is there a minimum of what has to be on your site?
Well, I've haven't initially, when I was told to do the training for Google Sites, I was told I would get some parameters, but I haven't, and I'll follow up with administration just to see. Ms. Peoples shared the Google Sites checklist, some things that I will probably, and none of them are mandatory as of yet, except the video. Now I know that for sure. Now I know Dr. Horton has said video several times, but I haven't received anything on, some teachers I've noticed that have more of a Bitmoji format where you can click on different icons and they'll lead you to different directions. We haven't received any notice on that. Now I will make sure, I'm pretty sure that since Ms. Wells mentioned that this is due Friday, that they just want to see that you've got a good start on it. But then after that, I'm not sure if there'll be any additional. I don't see anyone being asked to take things off to remove anything. The worst case scenario, they might ask you to add, say, your a survey form, which I don't even see that. Maybe certain guidelines, maybe a calendar, but I have not been given any instructions on what is mandatory except the video. And then the video, to embed the video, let me come out of this. It really just depends on how you're going to create the video. The simplest way to create the video and embed would be using your camera on your laptop, because that will save it straight. If you're doing your phone, or if you're using another, I don't know what's going on, everything's stuck today. If you're using another resource, because I've thought about, since TikTok is so big, and I've heard people using a lot of TikTok for instruction, which I'll get into that another day. I'm not going to, but short answer, no, I haven't been given any direction. And right now my computer's frozen. Well, one of them is. If you don't have your Clayton County credentials, and that's the same for the Google Classroom, I'm just going to continue to check in with you to see when you get it, and then we'll get you jump started. if you're practicing on another site, the only thing that I haven't explored with yet is see if you can copy it over. If there's a way for you to copy it over, I know Clayton County is going to be pretty adamant about it being a CCPS generated Google site, but since you don't have that option, then I'm sure whatever you provide will be acceptable. Let me see. For those that do not have the credentials, you don't have that. I guess then you're off the hook for the moment. But I'll make sure that I'll check in with Ms. Wells to make sure. Bitmoji is supposed to be whitelisted, meaning that the Clayton County gave permission for Bitmoji and Screencastify to be used. So if you're having a hard time with Bitmoji, I can follow up with you. But I know of several people that have Bitmoji that use Bitmoji. I hadn't tried it on my Clayton County laptop. It's been on my personal laptop for about a year, so I can follow up on that, Miss Michelle. Let's see.
Mr. Shree asked about changing the title of the site after you publish it, and I told him you could.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going backwards, so now.
And that was pretty much all the questions. Everything else was kind of related to the survey link not working. So
Okay.
you'll just have to send that back to us. Ms. Hickson says, how do you join the NCHS Technology Campus Drive?
Can
you share that with everybody?
Is it, you're talking about the Google Classroom, or because I had not created a drive at all, so it's a
I think
Google
it's
Classroom.
that Google. I think you had a site that has like information for teachers that we're working on.
Oh, okay. This one right here is actually, I hadn't been given it. Yeah, I haven't. I'm going to get in contact with Miss Mayo throughout the day. We've had 2 meetings already. They wanted to make sure that because there's actually a link that Clayton County has for all TLs. Like literally every school has one, and I think they want to okay it first before I shoot it out, but it should be by the end of the day. I'll just email it out just so people that don't have credentials to get in my Google Classroom will still have access. But I'm just waiting for a thumbs up because I have another training with the liaisons this afternoon. So
that'll
yeah.
be shared at a later date, Ms. Hickson, or later today, hopefully.
Yeah, later. I just want to get a thumbs up because it's actually live, but they have changed some things on the because the very front page is generated by Clayton County, not by me. The only thing I changed was the Eagle Soar with Technology. Everything else was provided by Clayton County, so I don't want to shoot that out there and there because they can see who all. I mean, the analytics are turned off for us. Basically, the numbers on who's utilizing sites, they're available. That's just common for websites, period. But we can't access it. So I know the district I worked for years ago that's had teacher sites. You can literally go to your site and click on the analytics. I think it's right here, and it will have inside right here where it says analytics. It would tell you how many people are visiting your site. So keep in mind, even though we can't look at it, someone else probably can. So you can't make people come to your website, but I'm pretty sure that those numbers will climb because so many parents will look for resources. But I'll have that out to you as soon as I give my okay.
Mr. Natera wants to know if the site is set to be viewed on a computer and a parent opens the site from their cell phone, is there a way for them to change the setting to cell phone instead of desktop? I think that's automatic, but
yeah, it's automatic. It's definitely automatic. Once Google recognizes that you're entering from a mobile device, it would automatically change. You don't have to change the setting in the computer or on the phone. I know sometimes I've done it where I go into my phone and change my setting myself if I want to get a full view, and you can do that personally and change your setting. But generally speaking, Google recognizes on where the source is that's trying to enter the site. So you don't have to do anything. It does it automatically. It just gives you, as the designer, an option to see what it looks like, because some things just don't look good on mobile, and that's just my own personal opinion. I actually don't even like that eagle is too light, so I'll probably try to find something. But yeah, that's definitely automatic.
And finally, Ms. Hickson said, can I join the Google Classroom?
Okay, I'll put that up one more time. And we have like a lot of people on here already, surprisingly, because we had maybe in the mid-20s and then started climbing up to 50. So I've added you, Ms. Peoples, to that Google Classroom. So Ms. Peoples is kind enough to help find us some resources by content. And I've got a little bit up there for ELA and for DES. And I'll sure, I don't know if Mr. Minyard's on here or not, but he has shared quite a few things previously, and make sure to add that, or he can add it. However, and if you have, the Google Classroom is not locked. So if you have questions, if you want to post yourself, I'm sure that you're not going to be like the students and post crazy. Maybe follow me on Snapchat or any of that. So you feel free to post on there as well. Good morning, Mr. Okay, so I gave that information for them to reach out to you, and it's just up to you how much time you want to spend. I'd say maybe 20 minutes a person, and it might just be a question you have, like a simple question. And I've had a lot of people send me questions, but oftentimes I ask for screenshots, or I'd prefer seeing, not seeing you in person, but seeing what you're talking about, and that way we can get straight to the whatever the problem may be, and then move on to the next thing. But I'll share this particular video. If it wasn't detailed enough, just make sure that you either wait until Monday when we all meet, and I have to give a little more advanced instruction. And sometimes it takes a second for me to scale back. And I was informed the other day I did another training that I go entirely too fast, and I apologize. And that's why I try to record myself. I have to keep in mind that this is not their thing, just like I don't know how to play tennis. So I have, lots of topics that I'm not versatile on, but otherwise I don't really have anything else.
Do you think, Ms. Hartley, Mr. Natera was asking that they will change, since the new teachers don't have credentials and they probably won't have them for another week? Will they change the deadline of when the site is due?
Actually, as we're speaking, I'm going to reach out to Ms. Wells and find out, and I'll send the new teachers an update as soon as she sends me something. There's no feasible way that will even work for you. I'll be excited when you get in your Google Classroom.
Yeah,
that's what I'll be excited about.
Mr. Natera and I did yesterday was I created a site and I added him so that he could work on it, and then once he gets his credentials, so that's one way we can go work around that. So if any of the other new teachers want that, I'll create the site and add them so that it's under Clayton County and they can work on it.
I can, yes, okay. Well, whoever would like that, I'll be glad, to help you, or we can team it.
It worked, so we were able to do that.
Okay, well, I'll also mention that the only thing about it is once they receive their credentials, they can add themselves on there, and that way.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's do that. So everyone that is not able to because they don't have credentials, you already have one. You want me to do the other, or how do you want to do
that? Two. So if they reach out to me, it's easy. I can do it.
Okay. Well,
but the only thing I want to say to everybody before people start to leave, guys, keep it simple. If you hop over to my website, keep your tab simple. That first page could be your welcome letter, your welcome video. Then you can have a tab for classwork. You can have a tab for homework, and you can have a tab for resources. Under classwork is where you could put all your links to your Google Classroom. just keep it simple for now, because I'm like Sergeant Albino. I wish they had given us a sample website template and said, these are the things that we need you to have on there, because you can become very overwhelmed by this. So take a look at some sample Google sites. I prefer to Zoom with you or Google Meet with you so that you can share your screen. And as you're working, I can help you that way. So just reach out to me and we can set up a time to do that. But keep it simple for now. And then later on you can add, because remember, the more stuff you put on these sites, the more stuff you may have to keep up throughout the year. So you don't want to have to keep worrying about a Google site.
Right. That's definitely because the teacher spotlight disappeared after a while, but then I didn't have any teachers to really spotlight on the tech side. Not saying that y'all not doing what you're supposed to, but the technology in the beginning of the year wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Those are some really, really good tips. And I'm excited that I have teachers in the building that can extend from, because I have to actually give training that's provided to me by the district that will touch on some of those things. Again, they're not created by me. Those are just, given to me once a month. So remember that once a month, and they'll check on attendance on that. I'm pretty sure that the technology liaisons are responsible for trainings, and I'll post those topics as well, so you know what's to come. So you won't double, triple dip on different topics. And I know the first one is definitely going to be on Google Classroom. So I want to make sure that nobody's wondering why we're doing Google Classroom over and over. They just want to make sure that it's manageable, as I've seen some Google Classrooms where you can get lost. And that's probably the worst thing, because the students will use that as an excuse not to do their assignments.
Quick question from the when we do publish, who can see the site? Is it the web or just CCPS?
There is, as far as I know, it's supposed to be everyone, and that's the whole purpose in them making the site, because unless you restrict it, I have not. Let me make sure it's within the settings, and that's why I said don't.
I think when Mr. Natero and I did it last night, you can say who can see it, and I think it's only Clayton County people.
Well, see, the downside with that is, since they want this to be the portal to the
parents, yeah.
Right. You wouldn't want to restrict it, and that's why I said make sure you're specific about what you post, that it's not, infringing on anyone's personal pictures or anything like that. But I wouldn't, if you're just remember, if you put restrictions on there, to take them back off, and that's oftentimes the problem. And I've done that before, and everything that you're embedding or uploading, you have to take the restrictions off of those. You can, make sure that people can't edit your content, but you have to make sure that they're able to view it. Like the document I just showed you, the checklist, if I don't make it viewable for everyone, then no one be able to open it, and a little lock key will be on your site, and it'll just show that it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. So I need to change it that anyone can view, anyone with the link can view. Right now it was restricted to only people that work for Clayton County, but if you have a site, that's the whole purpose in it. Because if it's something that you don't want people to see, then it needs to be in your Google Classroom. Definitely.
Okay, I think that just answered your question, Ms. Jolly. So if you created a site and you just wanted us to see it and students to see it, then you would leave it at Clayton County only. If you wanted anyone to see it, then you would check that box so that anyone could see it.
Correct. Yes.
But I'm sorry. But I can't see it. But how do I make it where it's only Clayton County? I don't see it.
I don't know if that option is still. You said, Ms. People, you said you've seen that option, because maybe it's this site.
You just had it up where you changed anyone can view this link.
But that was on my document. That wasn't on the
go
site.
to like you're adding you're sharing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that little thing. Got it. Okay.
And then links vary, change.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to it. Okay.
Yeah, and then that way you can change it.
There goes Miss Culver. I think this one in particular was because like I said, I didn't create this. I'm just the editor on this. That I need to put it back how it was.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Guys, I did send y'all an email about Edgenuity training. I actually had forgotten about it, but there are different times today for the Edgenuity training for high school. So I resent Miss Pitt's email out. So try to get one of those trainings
about that, because someone mentioned the Edgenuity to me this morning, and also mentioned there was a registration process. But then when I tried to click on the 12:30 session, it just said oops, and that's all it gave me.
Oops, we tried it, so I don't know. We didn't get a lot of instruction on that, but there is a training today for that. So if I see any other information, I'll share it with you guys before the next session comes up.
I was able to sign up for the 12:30. I had to copy there was something wrong with the link in the document. I had to copy and paste the link and change something about the link to get it to work.
Okay.
You had to, there's like if you right click it and copy the link, it's got like a -230 at the end. We have to leave the dash and delete the 2:30, and then the link worked. It was weird. I had to try it a few times, but I wanted the 12:30 as well.
Okay, so
Mr. Minion, do you think you could send us the correct link, like fix it for us, and then email all of us?
Oh, actually, let's see. I think I still have. Let me double check the one I have here works. I'm gonna send it right now.
I just tried it as well, and what I did is I just opened the attachment in a Google Doc, and then copied the link, like Mr. Minyard was saying, and then pasted it in a tab, and it worked for me when I clicked enter. I think it's just a little hard to work if you just click it directly from the attachment.
Mr. Minyard, he just posted it in the chat, guys, so you can click on it and go ahead and have that link available for it. Thank you, Ms. Edenfield.
Thank you, everyone. I want to make sure that everyone realizes this is a team effort, so it's definitely just not me, because there's too many of us for one person. So if you have ideas, please. And Ms. Peoples, if we get a chance to talk about Pear Deck when you have time.
Okay. Ms. Jones, sample Google Sites. She had a quick question about sample Google Sites. I know that I search for, I just go to Google and search for teacher Google Sites, and that way I get ideas. And then also Ms. Pitts or Ms. Wells shared a list where we all have to put our Google Sites and all that stuff in our classroom. So I'm taking a look at some teachers that have already created sites at North Clayton as well. Any others you had suggested, Miss? Okay, Miss. She said, got it. Okay.
Well, I just Google.
I Google.
Right, and I've seen so many that were way more than what I would expect, just because they have their entire lesson plan. They have their entire day to day for the student, and I just think this could be too much.
That's too much. That's too much, because all of your information is going to be in your Google Classroom anyway. Your site is just somewhere parents can go and say, hey, I need the code for a class, or when is homework due, or what are the expectations. You may want to post your syllabus on your website, but
or an example video maybe on how the students should access their work or submit it, because parents they don't have access to the Google Classroom the way the way the students do, and that oftentimes keeps the students from doing their work because they said, hey, I can't find it, I don't know how to do it. So
we invite the parents, so if they get an invitation, they're able to see some stuff.
The only thing they see because I've made myself a parent before, so the only thing you really see is the missing assignment, not the assignment itself. You can see the
first thing we're gonna do today is right. So one way to do.
I can't even mute.
Oh, I can't mute. Oh, okay, he didn't.
Oh, okay. So yes, the accessibility for the parent with what when we send them the invitation, oftentimes they want to see the actual assignment and they can't. They only see what's due, what's missing, what's up, anything that's upcoming or what's been posted, but they cannot actually the parent is looking for the same view that the students have and they won't have that.
Well, yeah, that should be, yeah.
But if they're in the same house with them, that they should be able to.
Right. And if they have their Infinite Campus credentials, they can check grades. Ms. Hickson has a good point. On her page for students, she has the Google Classroom codes. Now, if we're going to make the website open to anyone that has a link,
they can
really put our codes up there.
I can't even get the new teachers to join my Google Classroom because there has to be a CCPS email address for them to be able, or account for them to be able to add Google Classroom. I had a facilitator from Texas over the summer that could not be added to my Google Classroom.
Gotcha.
Just because, so that's definitely not. They can try, and they will try. They will say they will try, but it's not going to work. So
it's fine. It's fine, Ms. Hickson, to leave it that way. Yeah. Okay. Good question.
And then Mr. Minyard said that we're supposed to be adding students to our Google Classroom, but I'm going to wait until a little further down the line because some of the schedules are still being right. And plus, I don't want a ton of students. I'll have to boot back out, and I don't want them to look at what I'm creating because then they'll have a view of what's on there. So I don't need that either. So I would probably wait until, maybe next week sometime. I definitely wouldn't do it today. I'm still working. So, but yeah, I'll check in with I'll notify Miss Wells that we came up with a solution, or Miss Peoples came up with a solution on the Google sites, and anything else that you may need assistance with, just feel free to reach out to any of us and we'll get it together. And just don't forget to look at the checklist.
Is Google Classroom restricted to Clayton County? Yes, it is. Restricted to students with Clayton County emails. It's restricted.
Yeah, it's restricted to any. Yeah, so you can add, and don't forget to add Miss Wells or your administrator to your Google Classroom when you're done. I know that's a requirement to add. Wasn't it an ad, or was it an ad as in collaborator, correct?
Yes.
Because she added herself as a student last semester, and I know she received a lot of notifications from me, a lot.
Yeah.
I automatically spammed emails out to the students that were missing assignments, but I would say it needs to be as a collaborator instead of a student. But I'm gonna. We still have 33 people on here, so unless someone has questions, do we add them so they can see it or change it? I would. Well, since you are you referring to the student, Miss Christmas, or are you referring to the administrator? Oh, I would send them a request if you're ready to go on this Google Classroom. I would send them a request, and then I would just shoot my code out just in case, but just kind of double dip a little bit. If you're ready for them to look at it, then I would just add them. I have tons of extra. I just don't want to overwhelm anyone. The checklist is, as a matter of fact, now that you're mentioning it, I'm putting it in my Google Classroom right now.